You've already learned how your engine works, but it takes a propeller to convert the engine's power to the thrust you need for flight. And by the way, this is the closest you'll ever see me get to a propeller. Your Skyhawk has a fixed pitch propeller, which means that the propeller is one solid piece with no moving parts. Its pitch, or blade angle, is set at the factory and you can't change it. Now, as you know, the propeller is connected directly to the crankshaft and turns as fast as the engine turns. Remember, Mr. Engine told you that. And your tachometer tells you how fast both the crankshaft and the propeller are turning. So with a fixed pitch propeller, RPM is your best indication of how much power the engine is producing. Or in other words, you use the tachometer to set your power, such as in climb or cruise flight. Now, blade angle, or how much of a bite of air the propeller takes as it turns, affects the speed of the engine. The bigger the bite, the heavier the load on the prop, and the slower the engine and the propeller will turn. For the Skyhawk's propeller, the engineers chose a blade angle that is the best compromise between a good climb and a good cruise pitch setting. This results in excellent overall performance using one simple system. The constant speed propeller is the other common configuration in general aviation airplanes. It has more parts and is a more expensive arrangement. That's why you don't see me around a lot of constant speed propellers. And it's usually found on high performance airplanes. With a constant speed propeller, what you have is a propeller governor that actually changes the pitch or angle of attack of the propeller blades. A high performance airplane like a Skylane, for instance, has a constant speed propeller. And if you take a look at the controls inside the cockpit, which I heartily recommend from time to time, you'll see that there is not only a throttle control, but there's also a propeller control knob. Whenever you move the throttle, you control the manifold pressure. What that means is the throttle controls the air and fuel going into the engine. And the propeller control adjusts the propeller governor, which controls the RPM. You set the RPM with a prop control, and the governor adjusts the pitch of the blades to maintain that RPM. What a governor does is increases and decreases the angle of the blades as it needs to in order to keep the RPM constant. That's why we call it a constant speed propeller. One more thing. It's considered good practice when you're using a constant speed propeller to avoid high manifold pressures and low RPM. Let me give you an analogy. If you're in a car and you're lugging up a steep hill, it's not good for your engine. I do that in my 5-speed all the time. I'm in 5th, I should be in 3rd. I save 11 cents on gas and ruin a $3,000 engine. Pretty smart, huh? If you run with relatively high manifold pressures in your aircraft and low RPM settings, you can overstress the engine. That's because it can create higher than normal cylinder temperatures and pressures, and that's not good for the engine. So to increase power, first increase the prop control and then the throttle. To decrease power, first reduce the throttle and then the propeller. That way you'll keep your engine running calm, cool, and collected, as well as you, the pilot.